everyone. Today our team is here to present a case study on the Gordie Howe International Bridge, one of the most significant and complex international infrastructure projects in recent North American history. It's a project that touches on everything we have studied, from initiation and planning all the way through execution, risk management, and stakeholder communication. Before we dive in, let me quickly introduce everyone. I am Akila, served as our team leader and also handled the final submission. Sai Shiva took care of all our scribing and documentation throughout the process. Sri Puja managed our timekeeping to make sure we stayed on track. Muhammad was our quality control checkpoint, making sure our work met the standard before anything went out. And Sridevi led all the graphics and visual designs for the presentation. It was a real team effort and we are excited to work through what we have found. So let's start with the basics. What exactly is the Gordie Howe International Bridge? At its core, it's a six-lane cable-stayed bridge connecting Windsor, Ontario in Canada with Detroit, Michigan in the United States. Now, that might sound straightforward, but this crossing is actually the single busiest commercial border between the US and Canada. We are talking about hundreds of billions of dollars in trade crossing that border every year. So this isn't just a bridge, it's critical economic infrastructure for both the countries. The bridge itself spans approximately 1.5 miles, and when complete, it ranks among the 5 longest cable-stayed bridges in all of North America. But the bridge is really just one piece of a much larger project. The full scope includes brand new ports of entry on both the Canadian and American sides, dedicated pedestrians and cyclist paths, toll collection facilities, and major highway connection upgrades on the Michigan side, specifically improvements to the I-75 interchange to handle the increased traffic flow. What made this project especially challenging right from the initiation phase was its sheer complexity. You are dealing with two sovereign nations, different regulatory systems, different currencies, and very difficult political environments. The project team recognized early on that the only way this works is with a rock solid governance structure, a strong public private partnership, and a commitment to PMBOK best practices throughout the entire life cycle. So, from the next slide, my teammate Shiva will be presenting.
Now let's look at who was involved and what the plan actually looked like. The key body overseeing this project was the Without Detroit Bridge Authority, known as the WDBA. This was a crown corporation created specifically by the Canadian Parliament in 2012 with the sole purpose of delivering this project. On the private side, it had a Bridging North America or BNA, you're responsible for designing, building, financing, operating, and maintaining the bridge. That's what makes this a true P3 and a public-private partnership, where the private sector takes a significant share of the risks and responsibilities. Beyond these two stakeholders, including both Canadian and US federal government for the border security and the trade policy, local communities on both sides of the borders who had a real concern about the noise, environment, and economic impact on the commercial trucking and transportation industry, who had the most gain from the smoother, more effective crossing. In terms of timeline, major property and the early construction activities ramped up between 2018 to 2020, with the target completion date 2024. The total budget came in Canadian dollar 5.7 billion, covering 74 months constructing window and leading into the 30 years operation phase. From a risk planning standpoint, three major challenges were identified right at the start: navigating cross-border regulator between two very different government systems, meeting over 450 individual environmental compliance conditions, and maintaining the between two national government across a multi-year and multi-billion dollar. From here to my teammate Sri Pooja will take care.
Hello, this is Pooja. Moving into execution, let's talk about how the team actually manages the risk on ground. Because this is where the project likes to either holds together or falls apart. Five major risks was formally tracked through it, the project life cycle. The first and highest risk was cross-border regulatory delays.
Think about what means this practically. Every major decision potentially needs sign off from two different sets of government agencies operating under different laws and timelines. The response here was proactive, dedicates the government license officers were the embedded early on, whose entire job was navigate the regulatory processes and catch issues before they cause delays. This risk was owned by the WDBA senior leadership level, meaning it executes attentions at all the time. The second highest priority risk was the environment compliances and violences. Within 450 plus individual conditions meet one time and miss the requirements could be legal potentials or even construction halts. The team run comprehensive continuous environments. The team The team continuously monitoring the program through the entire construction period, not just clicking boxes and actively tracking the real time. The third party supply chain distributes the rate at the medium risk. This was especially relevant given global supply chain pressure over recent years. The migrant strategies was smart and they avoid the single vendor dependency by the using multiple supply contracts and run senior planning exercises to prepare for the distribution before they happen. The fourth was the weather related delays. This is a medium risk. Construction of the best span of international waterways means you are fully exposed to the elements. This weather delays didn't automatically cascade into the overall project delays. The fifth is stakeholder position was rated low risk that legally credited to the community benefits plans and consistently transparent community engagement that started early and never stopped. Thank you.
Hi, this is Devi, and I'll be taking over this slide. So, right alongside risk management, the communication plan was one of the most important tools keeping this project on track. And honestly, it is an area that often gets underestimated on large projects. The team structured communication across five distinct channels, each with its own audience, frequency, and purpose. So monthly binational projects updates were sent directly to the Canadian Parliament and US Congress. These weren't just check-ins, they were formal regulatory compliance reports that kept both the governments informed and maintained political support for the project. And quarterly community information sessions were held for residents, local businesses, and community organizations on both sides of the border. These gave stakeholders a real forum to ask questions, raise concerns, and see that their input actually mattered. Weekly internal coordination meetings between WDBA and BNA kept the day to day execution tight. At a project of this scale, a week without coordination can snowball quickly. So, weekly touchpoints were non negotiable. And also, the quarterly board reviews brought in the strategic level decision makers for high level oversight, budget reviews, and major go or no go decisions. And finally, monthly environmental monitoring reports were shared with the relevant regulatory agencies and made publicly available, keeping the transparency high and reducing the risk of any surprises on the compliance side. So, what this plan shows is that the communication was treated as infrastructure itself, deliberately designed, consistently maintained, and tailored to the specific needs of each of the audience. From here, my teammate Mohammed will be taking care.
So, after all of that, was the project actually successful? Our team assessment is yes. And here's the evidence across four dimensions. Uh, on schedule, the project was tracking towards in 2024 completion target. Major milestones, including property acquisitions and tower foundation work, were completed as planned. The credit here goes to the project management approach that was built in from the start. So, by anticipating problems and having contingency plans ready, the team was able to protect the critical path even when challenges are coming up. On stakeholder satisfaction, the project received recognition at the in 2020 P3 awards for outstanding environmental, social, and governance performance. Uh, that's an industry. Outstanding environmental, social, and governance performance. That's the level acknowledgement that this project was being done the right way. More tangibly, over 120 local businesses and more than 90 apprentices were directly engaged through the community benefits plans. The real economic impact for the communities more affected by the project. So, on quality and compliance, PMBOK standards are contractually embedded into the project. Now, just an inspirational but legally required, all 450 plus environment conditions were addressed through systematic monitoring, and the design incorporated throughout thoughtfully, like sustainability features including LED lighting, dark sky friendly illumination, showing attentions to qualify beyond just the structural requirements. So in the last, like financially the project is like 5.7 billion CAD, Canadian dollars. Budget held from through the partnership structures, and the toll-based revenue model ensured the bridge was the financially self-sustaining over its more than 30 years operational lifespan. And the community benefits also committed like 20 million in directly local community investments. And for the strategic standpoint, the project is bigger than one of its blueprint for how two nations can collaborate and complex infrastructures when the governance is right and the risk and management proactively, and the community is genuinely included in the process. So let me okay so let me give you some references. The source that informed our case study, including the Government of Canada officials, Gordie Howe Bridge project documentation, framework of the risk registers and communication planning, and PMBOK guide, which serve the methodological backbone for how we structure one entire thing analysis. So our team just want to take a moment to genuine thanks to our professor for giving us this opportunity to learn this massive and really impressive project, getting to apply project management frameworks to real living infrastructure projects, and on the complex and the significance of everything. Click in the textbook. Exercise simply can't. But when we personally research, everybody's participating, it's really good. So we learned a lot putting this together, and we really grateful for the assignment. Thank you so much for all of you for your time and attention. Thank you.